Howdy, Angels! So, in this pseudo-intellectual hellscape known as the modern American political system, we are finally down to a couple of options. Now, hold on, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, I am getting to you. Here's the thing, they probably weren't your first choice. For the 14 million people who voted for Trump, there were 16.8 million who voted for someone else in the Republican primary. And what's more, because Trump cleared out his competition before the end of the primary season, a lot of people who probably would have preferred to vote for someone else ended up voting for him anyway. On the Democratic side, there were 16.8 million people who voted for Hillary, but there were 13.1 million people who voted for Bernie. This video is for you, my fellow losers. My guy didn't win either. And it sucks. And I'm still a little bitter about it. But now we have to decide who to vote for in the general election. So whether you were voting for Cruz or Bernie or my sad, frail little Jeb Bush,
please clap.
You gotta move on. They have. Bernie is probably not going to be furtively scribbling his name in at the ballot box on November 7th. I mean, Ted Cruz is definitely going to be furtively scribbling his name in, but that is a whole nother issue. So now we gotta choose between two candidates who we don't really like. So to my de facto Trump supporters, believe me, I get it. I was president of college Republicans. I was elected precinct chair of the Republican Party a week after my 18th birthday. This is a photo of me in 2009. Believe me, I get it. I understand what it's like to want to keep with your party. So let's talk about Trump. First of all, he inherited his fortune. He did not grow it out of nothing, as he would seem to like you to believe. Second of all, we cannot deport millions of immigrants just willy-nilly, because that would obviously crash the economy. Furthermore, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. So whenever you're talking about Muslims, whether or not it be deporting them or having them take a test on whether or not they support Sharia law, you can't do that without a constitutional amendment. That will never happen. His relationship with Russia will likely lead to instability in the Western Bloc, which will cause a lot of people to die. Besides his lack of knowledge of foreign affairs just in general. Overall, everyone hates him. So now I want to bring up Gary Johnson, our other libertarian, right-wing-ish option. And here's what he has to say about Trump.
It was kind of a misfire on my part when I called him a pussy. Donald Trump's a pussy. But the point was that, you know what? I've climbed the highest mountain on each of the 7 continents. I'm going to do a 3,000-mile mountain bike ride here, upcoming. Trump's a pussy.
This guy is crazy. He should not be president. Presidents need to know how to throw shade without breaking a sweat. And bringing up your athletic ability is just one step away from saying my dad can beat up your dad. Like, what the fuck? Then there's Jill Stein, our Green Party left-wing candidate.
Last week you tweeted, if you don't want to vote for a warmonger or a racist billionaire, there are more options.
Her shade is much more subtle, and I like that. But she is also a medical doctor who's expressed sympathy with the anti-vaccine movement, so that's concerning. And then also, there's the fact that this is her experience. Even if it were possible for her to garner the votes necessary, she's not ready to be president. Even though neither of these should be elected, they absolutely should be in the debates. They bring in new ideas that the public needs to hear, and they also avoid devolving it into a name-calling match. Well, except for Gary Johnson.
Donald Trump's a pussy.
So Hillary. Hillary has an odd concept of American exceptionalism, considering
There is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending.
Having read her book Hard Choices and listened to her speeches and debates, what I've determined about Hillary is that she's not great at accepting responsibility. She says she voted for the war in Iraq because she trusted the president, and she voted against the surge in Iraq because she didn't trust the president. She has trouble admitting that while it's not as bad as people make it out to be, having a private email server was wrong. And ultimately, a lot of her policy positions she's been dragged to just a little bit later than I would like. With that said, she has been a fierce advocate for women's rights and LGBT rights at home and across the globe. She's been successful at working in Congress, and she's a trusted counterpart to many foreign leaders. Frankly, she is the best we've got. Maybe she's not perfect on all of your issues. Maybe you're pro-life, or pro-small government, or pro-student debt forgiveness. She is not going to agree with you on all of those things. But less people will die under her. Our economy will be stronger under her. Our foreign relations under her will not be shackled to the almost universal international opinion that her opposition is a clown slightly less funny than that one from It. Hillary is not the visionary that I had hoped for. But she is the best that we have. And we have a moral responsibility to vote against hate. We have a moral responsibility to vote against a hypocrite, a man whose actions do not line up with his words. Not winning sucks, but now we have to make a decision, and make a decision that has an effect. Not voting, or voting for a third-party candidate who won't win, has an effect. The effect is that it diminishes your voice in your government. The effect is a candidate who is terrible for America may be elected because you opted out. It's too big a deal to waste our vote. We have to make it count. So, I'm with her. And I hope that come November, you will be too. Until next time, angels.